Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jacob Restituto, and I'm a musician from Northport, New York. And today we have an absolute pleasure of having Ethan Gander here on the channel. Ethan, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule and making music process to chat with me here on the channel, man. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. It's really nice to meet you. I'm stoked to
Likewise.
talk.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be a good conversation. Your music,
Yeah.
for people that haven't heard it yet, first of all, I recommend people go check it out because it's phenomenal.
Thank
Second
you.
of
Thank
all,
you.
it has a really cool vibe to it, man, in the sense that you kind of have this vintage feel. I know that you're 23 years old, right? Unless your bio's inaccurate, like
Bio's
mine,
inaccurate. Bio's
like
inaccurate.
my. It's like you write it once and then you forget about it. That's at least my story. So like I think I'm
Yeah.
3 years younger than my bio at the moment.
I'm
So
I'm I'm too. I'm too. Yeah, I think that bio is from my website and I don't know how to update it, honestly. I think I have access to it anymore. So
oh
we're
shoot,
gonna work on that.
dude. Well, you're 23 forever, man.
Yeah, there you go. I'll take
That
it.
is too funny. Yeah. Oh, I relate to that because I actually just recently changed my bio on my YouTube description, maybe 3 days ago, and
Mm.
and
Yeah,
I
no, I mean
update that.
I know how it goes. I got to stay on top of a lot of things. I'll throw that on the docket though.
But you know what though? That's the least of like what So what if people care that you're 23 or 25? Like it's the least of
Yeah,
the issues,
there's
right?
worse problems to have for sure. I feel like.
So
Yeah.
being a 25-year-old, your music
Yeah.
has this very vintage feel to it. It's
Mm,
kind of it's very. I want to let me see if I could because I'm always curious if people can kind of put my music in a box and what they feel my music is. So
please.
let me try this for you, and I would love to hear if you think I'm dead wrong or
Okay.
totally correct.
Absolutely. Let's do it. It sounds fun.
And please don't take offense if I'm totally wrong.
No offense. No, you're good. You're good.
So it's unique in the sense that it has this almost I want to say middle American vintage grunge to it, where
Okay.
it's like this like really almost like Johnny Cash
Yeah.
kind of really acoustic, but also kind of like I mean in the music video, the kind of the vibe I was getting in the music video was like Southern California, Middle America, motel room kind of like you're
Yeah.
on the run, right? I mean, that's
Absolutely.
the music video I was just watching of yours, which is
Yeah.
phenomenal, by the way.
Thank you so much. That was so much fun to film. So that one, it's funny you bring that up. In terms of genre or style, if you listen to some of my older music,
Mm.
when I first started producing, there's a lot of different stuff going on. I was doing like indie pop rock, like when I first started recording and produce. Essentially, what happened was with that is that I've never actually written music like that until "Save Me" was the first song that I written, kind of with that style, almost like a outlaw country pop.
Yeah,
Like
that's exactly it. Yeah.
yeah. And the only reason I did that was when I started TikTok. To back it up a little bit, I write a new song every day. That's like my thing. Since I produce my own music as well, it opens up the opportunity so I can just go and like get everything
Let me
out there.
pause you really quick on that. I want to hear the
Yeah.
rest of that. But when you say, always curious about people's perspective on this. When you say you write a song a day,
Mm.
two verses and a chord, like, or is it just a 1 minute thing, or like, what does that mean to you?
It can mean a couple different things. So at the very least, I start a process, and at the very least, it's a verse and a chorus. But if I feel something that I'm into, like for instance, Psycho, that got done in from start to finish in like 8 hours. Like
Mm-hmm.
from having no idea to like being like, oh, I actually really like this. I'm gonna flush the whole thing out just so. I'm a very big procrastinator. Like most of the time, like because I write something every day, a lot of stuff doesn't get posted because if you write it and you don't love it, in my case, I'm just like, oh well, we'll see what happens with it, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times that ends up being nothing. But
Mm-hmm.
then again, I use TikTok almost like a focus group. So if people are like, hey, we like this, it raises his hand. I'm like, we're good. This is something I can invest my time into that my audience is gonna really like enjoy. So then, we'll take it from there. So a lot of times what happens is I'll do a verse and a chorus at the very least, and, throw it up there. And if it doesn't really respond super well, I can go, okay, well, we'll try again tomorrow. You know what I mean? But I'm sorry, going back to your thing, the reason why that genre became something that I started working on and investing a little more time into is purely because of audience engagement.
Hmm.
When I first wrote Save Me, I think you can even see it in the video. I wrote a little section just like, hey, I'm sorry, I've been gone for a little while. I'm trying out new genres. And so I don't remember what it was, but I was at my parents' house visiting, and my dad bought a new acoustic guitar, and I was just like playing around with it. And I'm like, yeah, I want to learn how to, riff on the pentatonic scale in this kind of like way. So I was doing that, came up with the idea, immediately tracked it, threw it up on TikTok, and then that became like one of my best performing videos at that point. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, if it works, like, let's keep going. And then came Dream.wave, and then, came more songs in that style, just purely because my audience enjoyed it. So that's also like my plan in the future as well. I love all different genres of music. I'm kind of like a jazz pianist first and foremost.
Really?
Yeah. So there's a lot of different avenues to take. So my plan is I'm just going to keep seeing what I can do. And if the audience and, fans or whatever are like, hey, we want to hear more of this, we'll take it step by step. So nothing's really planned in like terms of like, yeah, I want to write another like outlaw / blues / country song. But, it's a lot of fun, and it's something that I never really did before the song saved me. So, yeah, that's kind of just how I'm doing things right now.
Yeah, it's super interesting, man. Like the focus group concept is really interesting because you
Yeah.
kind of get the test. But now, my question for that is, how do you find the balance of like, hey, after one pass of this, like the audience does love it, or like maybe it's on the fifth pass it finally gets that like the recognition that it needs.
I'm very That's an interesting question, because a lot of people tell me that I should try it a couple times before. But if you've noticed, I really don't post another song twice, because there's such a, unless I'm promoting it, for the pre-save campaign or something moving forward, because there's always so much more. Like in my head, I'm like, I'm constantly moving and I'm writing something. So if it didn't work this time, would I rather spend that time trying to make it work and seeing if I can adjust the content?
Very interesting.
Or would I rather just wake up tomorrow and have a way better idea that pops off? And
That's
and
really
so far, the latter has worked out better for me.
That's a really interesting concept. I've heard in business the concept of stop trying to convince people of yes, or stop trying to like, how do I rephrase it? I had no other like a concept is in my head, but it's like stop trying to change people's mind from a no to a yes, and instead just keep knocking on doors until you find the yeses.
I love that. That's my new. I'm gonna steal that.
Yeah, for sure, man. I got to give credit. It came from Gary V. Do you know who Gary V is?
Oh, Gary V. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Huge fan of Gary V. And that's what he says. He's like, we always try to convince people like that we're right, but instead there are people that believe we're right. We just have to go out and find them.
I have one for you. I don't know if this is Gary V. I picked this up from somewhere, but it's about you can go to the dock every single day, one day after the next, and it only takes one of those days for the ship to sail. One day the boat's going to be there, but you got to be at that dock, because if you miss that day, it's over.
Preach,
and
I
butchered that quote.
No, but that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
no, it's so true, man. It's so true. It's so interesting. I love it and hate it at the same time. I love that chase, because it gets it's so like there's so much adrenaline in chasing it. Like but then it's so frustrating to some degree when it's like, okay, I posted 87 times and nobody's liked any of them. You know what I mean? It's this weird balance between the two.
I think there's also the factor of luck in the mix somewhere in there, because I've for sure seen so many talented artists that are just amazing that'll do that. They'll post 87 times in a row and nothing will pop off, but so it just takes that one, and then kind of everything changes. So, and that might just be the algorithm on whatever platform. It might just be, it could be a number of things. So I think combined with everything, I think you got to have, consistency, good work ethic, all these things. Those are first and foremost priority, like importance. But it also takes, just that luck factor, whatever that is, and then you might wake up the next day and all these people are wanting to hear this song, and you're like, wow. It happens for me a lot, where I'll write something and be like, this actually is my favorite, and I think this is going to do the best, and that one just tanks, and then it'll be something that I'm like, whatever, like I just need to put something out, and then people love that, and so I just never know.
Oh, it's so interesting, man. I appreciate that. I relate to this so much, because you're even taking it to the next level, doing a song a day. I was trying to do a song a week for 2022. Now I'm in the process. I'm actually trying to like release a song a week, essentially.
That's crazy.
But I don't know, man. Writing a song, I don't write every day though. So it's funny. I guess they're different in aspects, but like
they are.
I want to start. I want to try to get to the point where I'm writing every single day. Like,
Yeah, I think sorry to cut you off.
No,
It's
no, go
a
for it.
little bit.
Go for
I
it.
think more than anything for me, it's like exercise. It's
Couldn't
beneficial.
agree more.
Yeah, it's not like I want to have a piece of content with a brand new song every day. Those sort of expectations would crush me eventually. But more so like I'm gonna write something every day for me to exercise this muscle for whatever it is, playing guitar, playing like I need to become better. I'm constantly trying to grow, and that's gonna help me. I've been doing that for years. And then, when something does come along that I'm like, okay, this is ready to post, like, I'm happy with this, you can do it. But more so it's like less of like a goal of like I need to get something out every day, because if you look at my feed, like I don't get something out every
Mm.
day. But in those days in between, I am struggling and getting all angry at myself and trying to like put something together, and just flexing that muscle, and just like exercising uh you know consistent creativity, I guess.
I That's exactly the same concept as to why I try to release as much music as I do, in the sense
Yeah.
that um, there's so many different factors. One, you go up to the plate enough times, you're bound to hit a home run.
Mm.
One,
Yeah.
two, it's like, and I say this all the time. So for the people that listen to these, you hear them all the time. But it's a concept of like, when I record song A, I might be recording, I don't know, a synthesizer, and I have to learn how to use that synthesizer and mix that synth. But in song B, I'm not going to use that synth. I'm going to use an acoustic upright bass. So
Yeah.
like now I've learned two instruments on how to sit them in the mix. How does it relate to my voice? How does it, all these things that it's just constantly learning and learning. And the same thing with songwriting is even better, because now you have this huge stock portfolio of
Yeah.
lyrics. Like,
Yeah.
oh wait, how many times I've written lyrics for one song and then never finished that song, and 7 months later I steal 5 of those lines and put them in a totally different song, and it fits perfectly.
It's great. It's great.
Like now
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
that huge stockpile of things.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this, because it sounds like you engineer and produce your own music as well. That's a whole other thing that's somewhat new to me, and that is just a rabbit hole that I'm in love with engineering
Yeah.
right now, and mixing and spending money on plugins and all
Yeah.
that stuff. But I think that I really respect that, because I always had I come from a small town with not a lot of music going on whatsoever. So I always thought that's just how you did it. Like if you're making music, like all these artists, like they have to have like produced their own stuff, and I was humbled when I realized that, like, oh, this is difficult. This is crazy. And
So let me ask
yeah,
you, the tracks that you've released recently, you produced those?
everything
They're
produced, all the
phenomenal.
instruments.
They're like
Thank you.
really crisp quality. Do you
Only
mix them
yeah.
too and stuff, or?
So the things that I have been, I used to mix and master all my own stuff.
Okay.
And then I realized that, realistically, I'm not as good at mixing or mastering. I can do it, but there's people that dedicate their entire
Yes.
like life to being engineers, and that
Yeah.
are way better than me at
Yeah.
it. And I've been utilizing, I actually met a friend back years ago he was in high school at the time. He was like a freshman, and I was showing him how to use my Logic, and he ended up surpassing me totally and completely, and just being such a great engineer. And we kind of built a relationship throughout that time. And now I just send him mixes, and he does amazing. So he actually, his name is August. He's a great musician as well. He's going to have an upcoming project, August
sick, man.
Castor. Yeah,
Cool.
but he essentially, yeah. So nowadays, I'm all my recent stuff has been mixed and mastered by him for the most part.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's super crisp, super clean. But to some degree, like I heard a really, really great quote yesterday in a conversation with somebody. They said like you can only do so much in post. Like otherwise, you end up just polishing a turd, is what they said.
You gotta have from the
August can
start.
only do so much. Like your recording process is at least there, for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely taken time for sure. Like with anything, it's a lot of trial and error, and learning. I don't know. It's cool that like I know I've never really worked with producers that much, and now that there's the option to do that, I've tried being in sessions and whatnot, and I mean I spent most of my growth time doing it all by myself. And so now it's easier for me to communicate to myself what I want rather than another person. So that's been
Hmm.
also, I'm trying to branch out and work with more people for sure.
Hmm.
But just knowing myself, like, plus, like, I don't have to wait on anyone or anything like
Hmm.
that. Like the second an idea comes, I can like track it and all
Hmm.
that stuff. So that's been cool.
I completely agree. It's so paralyzing when artists can't, like, don't have the capability to track their own stuff. They have an idea and then like, oh, I want to get this idea out there, but they don't know how to do it. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
incredibly paralyzing.
absolutely. I 100% agree.
For sure. So let me ask you this: with where you are on TikTok, which remind me, I was trying to just look it up. Is it around 85K
I
or something?
actually haven't checked. It's somewhere around there. Yeah.
Let me just see really quick if I have it pulled up.
I can't
Let's
be on
see.
TikTok for too long. I
Yeah,
literally
it's
just go on to post.
I hear you. So around 85K followers on TikTok. I think it
Yeah,
saw 35K on Spotify monthly listeners.
sounds right.
Um, at this point, is it your full time job? Do you have a part time job elsewhere? What does day to day look like?
So yeah, I started teaching music back in my hometown about 5 years ago. So I've been a music teacher, and
Private lessons or?
private lessons. Yeah. So I did some stuff at a charter school, like teaching in classroom for a small short period of time. But I worked at the Ukiah School of Music, which is just like a private lesson music school, and then um, uh, Canova Records was the big stretch. I worked there for 5 years, and that was incredible. That was one of the coolest jobs. So I've always been working in music. I really don't consider that work.
Mhm.
When I moved down to LA, I ended up taking just this kind of the students that were like seriously pursuing music. So I teach, and one of the upsides of the pandemic was realizing, oh, as a music teacher, I can do this. Some students, it differs from case to case, but the students that essentially did really well through Zoom lessons throughout the pandemic are the ones that I'm still teaching today.
Very
So
cool.
that pays the rent, and I only do that, I do that enough to take care of bills, and so that I can eat and live at this place right here. So that's pretty much the extent of it. The rest of my time goes full into this. So, um, you know, couple hours a week working and teaching. It's definitely like before I left, I had like 50 students. So
Wow.
that was like my full time, and that was great. But now I would say 80 to 90% of my time is sitting right here and and doing what just writing, essentially
I
writing
love
and
it, man.
recording. Yeah.
No, it's phenomenal. That's. Have you seen any opportunities come out of things like the growth on TikTok yet?
All my opportunities thus far have come from TikTok.
So
Every
elaborate on that
single one.
because I think that that's really interesting. I think that
Yeah.
while like growth, people like kind of like it's weird. It can seem superficial when you start to grow like in numbers, but it is really interesting just to recognize the opportunity that comes with those numbers. And
Yeah.
it's a very fine balance because you never want to let it get to your head, but it's also like, and you never want to chase it. You never want to chase a number because you'll be unhappy. But it's
Yeah.
also this weird recognition of, oh wow, like I'm recognizing there's a lot more opportunity now than when I had 1,000 followers. So I'd love
Yeah.
to hear
So
about that.
let's put it this way. The very first time that an A&R hit me up was when I released Breathe, and that was like crazy to me. I'm like, now, I mean, I take a lot of meetings with A&Rs or people that do PR marketing and stuff like that, and I really enjoy, by the way, I really enjoy meeting people in the industry and taking these meetings and whatnot. Like that's a lot of fun. But at first, I didn't really know how to feel about it. One of the first labels that reached out, one of the first independent labels, I was like, well, this is crazy. I have like 3,000 followers on TikTok. Like this doesn't add up, so I'm going to kind of play things safe and just kind of try to learn. So I took the first 6 months of, business inquiries and whatnot as just take the meetings, learn as much as you can so that you don't go into anything, without any knowledge. And that, over time has come into actually really, really cool people hitting me up. And like the people who did my music video, shout out Live To, like they are some of the coolest collective of like-minded artists and whatnot. And that opportunity came from an Instagram DM they found
Mm.
me on TikTok. And that's just the beginning. Like my manager I met through TikTok. All the partnerships that I've worked on so far, a lot of artist collaborations have just been through people seeing a video on their For You page being like, I guess, like, who is this, let's reach out, and then taking it from there. So I don't necessarily think that I get caught up in the idea of it because it's exciting, um, and it's just something that's somewhat normal now. And that kind of just comes with it. And with that being said, there's a lot of things that are not necessarily good opportunities or just like bad things that come through, and you kind of just have to learn how to filter through. But
Mm.
you know, I talk to everyone, anyone who reaches out. You know, I want to hear what they have to say, and I just find it fascinating, honestly, the industry.
Mhm.
Oh, let me hold on 1 second. Have you read this book?
All you need to know about the music business, I don't think I have.
This is one of the coolest, best books
Hey,
I've ever read.
let me get you to hold it on the screen again. Let's see. Move it to your towards your face more, a little more, and then pull it. Yeah, that's it. That's it. All right, so people can
Awesome.
see it. Perfect.
Yeah, this
I
book.
gotta
This
check
book.
that out.
Please, yeah, I don't think you'll regret it. I've learned quite a lot from it as well, and I highly recommend anyone that it's an easy read. It's entertaining, but
Mm.
I highly recommend anyone who's trying to do something in music to just it's just laid out so well, and it's very easy to understand, and it has helped me immensely.
Yeah, very cool for sure. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Mm.
So, you staying independent? Currently independent? Do you want to sign to a label? What's the thought
Well,
process?
lot of partnerships have been options at this point.
What does
You
that
know,
mean?
so people have reached out and given offers
Hmm.
in terms of being with a label or single deals or stuff like that. I don't know how much I can talk about it. There's a couple
Sure.
things that are in the works right now, but yeah, at this point, what I'm trying to do right now is I feel like I'm so early on in this. I'm not trying to jump the gun.
Hmm.
I don't want to make any decisions. We've all heard the horror stories with artists and the label relationships, and nothing against, there's some really cool labels that I've met out there that are awesome, that are doing great work. But at this point, I feel like there's a lot more growth that I can have before making a decision like that. I'm trying to build leverage. I know two things, or I know a couple more things, but things that are clear is like I can consistently write and my numbers are growing,
Mm.
and it's growing consistently, and I feel like taking a big deal like that now would I, I don't know. I feel like it would just be better having a bigger audience, having the leverage that I built organically, and then taking a partnership. Then again, like single deals, marketing partnerships. It's something that I'm interested in, and I've been exploring and whatnot. But as of right now, the team consists of I have manager, lawyer, and someone that does helps me with social media, and that's kind of almost like I'm just building an
Sure.
ecosystem around me rather than using resources from like a label or anything like that.
Yeah, very interesting, man. The
Yeah.
DIY method, very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It's working well for me. I think TikTok has changed everything. I
Hmm.
think not just TikTok, Reels, Shorts, like in terms of like the music industry. Because
How are those doing for you? Like, I noticed I found you through TikTok.
yeah,
So how are your reels and your shorts doing?
it's very very new. So through the advice of people around me, I thought, okay, I'll just put all my focus on TikTok. But kind of what I do is whenever I post something on TikTok, excuse me, I also post it to Reels and just try to like feed the algorithm, and let people on Instagram know that I'm also doing this here. So it's definitely not the same. Sometimes things will do pretty well, but I'm just not. I'm not as familiar with the Reels world or the
Mm.
Shorts world, but definitely like I want to get anyone who's on any platform. I want them to have access if they enjoy
Yeah.
my music. I
Yes.
want them to be able to hear it and go to the DSP or follow me and keep up. So however they want to do that, I don't want to take that option away. So as of right now, I have plans to expand with Reels, especially
Hmm.
like maybe posting some lifestyle content and doing, as you can see, my TikTok is structured kind of in a pretty specific way,
Yeah.
and I want to keep it that way because I like the way that it looks with the just how visually how it looks. So I don't want to throw up a random iPhone video when I've been recording everything through my home video camera from the
Hmm.
90s, like since I
So that's
started.
actually really. I was curious about that. I wasn't sure if that was an effect you have. That's actually your
Yeah.
real 1990s home video camera.
Stay right there, sir.
Stop it, man. That's crazy. No way. That's wild.
Actually, my home videos we're recorded on 8mm, just like this. So I don't know. I was actually watching home videos with my parents about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, and I just had that. I'm like, dude, I need to like. I don't see enough people like. There's something about a filter, and then something about like
Yeah, it's
actual tape that's
crazy.
so like warm and inviting, and I like it.
So
Yeah.
how in the world are you getting that from there onto your iPhone?
Got you. There's a RCA
Uh
right
huh.
here,
Yeah.
and I put that into an Elgato, which is like for streaming video games and stuff like
Yeah. Yeah.
that,
Yeah. Yeah.
directly into a computer, my other Mac, and then just hit record. Yeah,
So is it
it's
actually
pretty,
recording to your camera, or is it recording directly to the TV,
both.
the whatever, the computer?
Yeah, so I have a tape in here that I'm recording just as a failsafe, because sometimes things have glitched out. But it's recording straight onto the hard drive for the most part.
Dude, that's crazy. That is so wild. Good
Yeah,
for
I
you, man.
love it.
That's pretty cool. That's
Thank you.
actually, I appreciate that. That's pretty wild. So I wanna go into this next question with a lyric from yours. I thought this was a phenomenal lyric. It says,
Ooh.
"Who cares if you're dead if you were never alive?" And I
Yeah.
thought that that was such a clever lyric, and it really hit me in the chest. And I want
Mm,
to segue with that lyric, the "Who cares if you're dead if you were never alive," right?
mm.
Into your story and moving to LA, because you had apparently I heard that you had a pretty big leap of faith story. So I want to hear that.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let me restructure that question. Do you want me to explain the lyric first and then jump into it,
No,
or
I
just
just
go?
I thought, I mean, you're more than welcome to, but I was just saying that
Yeah.
that lyric I think is phenomenal, and
Oh,
and saying that you're
yeah.
trying to live, and part of living is taking leaps of faith.
Okay. So this actually, that's a great question, by the way. This goes hand in hand with the answer as well. So the thing that was difficult for me about moving to LA and taking the leap of faith was, I mean, music has just always been something that I've done. It's always been a huge part of my life. My mom's an immigrant from the Philippines, and she grew up in poverty, and she always wanted to do music. And when she had me, she, the opportunity was there. She wanted her kids. And coincidentally, I have two siblings, and they're both extremely musically talented. Like all three of us do music, and that's really cool. So I think my mom's very happy about that. But yeah, so that was something that's just always been there. I started, piano lessons when I was like 4, and throughout my life, I've had a very chaotic life and whatnot, a lot of hardships and a lot of bad decisions. And then there was a certain point when I got things to be stable. When I started teaching music, I had a very fulfilling job that was consistent, and it started to get a little too nice, if that maybe not, that's not a good way to put it, but
Comfortable.
comfortable. One thing that I'm absolutely terrified of is getting comfortable for too long. And that period, that 4 or 5 year stretch, was the most comfortable that I gotten. And I think the stars kind of aligned perfectly, because that was around the time when I started consistently posting on TikTok, and then all of a sudden people were like saying, I'm a huge, I love your music, I'm a fan, and stuff like that, which was mind blowing. And then came the crossroads. Like, I'm in a comfortable place right now. I'm building this business in a small town that I could potentially set myself up to just be comfortable for the rest of my life, and it would work, and I would be happy. For the most part, on paper, this is great.
Mm.
Or I could see what's going on with this whole thing and just like jump out and actually try to pursue this. I'm like, I know I have the work ethic. I can write consistently. How far can I take this? There's a lot less guarantees. And there's, how it goes with like that's the story of like most artists, not even musicians, and you're trying to pursue something like that. Then I was also weighing like, okay, but also we live in a generation with social media, where you could be the CEO of your own business. You could build your own business, and that's on you. If you push, like, if you're consistent and you push hard enough and work towards your goal, I'm a big believer in that you're going to be successful eventually, and if you don't give up. And I guess I just kind of put a bet on myself, and I said, I think I can do this. And so I got a place down here, and I just went for it. And the who cares if you're dead if you were never alive? Like getting comfortable, 100%. That that just feels like death. I
Hmm.
guess it's so stagnant.
It's such a powerful lyric. I think that people really should like really like dissect that lyric for a little. Like after this chat, when they finish listening, like really think about that. Who cares if you're dead if you were never alive?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, such a wild lyric, man.
Thank you. Well, actually, it's crazy because like I don't. Yeah, so that one I actually wrote that song. The story behind that one is I woke up like in the middle of the night after like having a nightmare, kind of like described, yeah, by the song and whatnot. And I think I still have a voice memo. I immediately like just started writing lyrics. Like I wasn't even, it was such a flow state, so I was still like not awake and I wasn't thinking. I was just like whisper singing into my voice memos with my guitar. And when that one came, I didn't even stop and like double check. I just started writing this wall of text, and that's exactly how it came out. And I remember when I finished that phrase, I was like, okay, I can go to bed now. I can go back to sleep because I think that's good enough. I don't need to rework that. So that was one of the most interesting songwriting experiences I've ever had. I'm still constantly chasing that. I'm like, when can I have something crazy happen so that I can like just have a song that I can just flow and write real quick. But
Man, it is so interesting. Songwriting is so interesting, and then not
mm,
only talk about in songwriting. First of all, the flow state of songwriting, and the second of all, the
yeah,
aspect of like when people like things or not is such a weird. Like you could spend hours and hours and hours and hours on a track. You're like, oh my gosh, put my heart and my soul into this. People are like, yeah, cool. And then you're
yeah.
like, oh, I wrote this in a 2.5 hour plane ride, produced the whole thing on the plane, and then tracked it when I landed. And people are like, yo,
Mm.
this is the best song you've ever written. I'm like, yo, it's actually not, but whatever you say,
Yeah,
okay?
it's crazy. That's what I've had to, I actually because of that I've had to learn not to take things too personally.
A hundred
Um,
percent. I
yeah,
think
it's
I think the detriment to so many musicians is they care about their songs too much.
yeah, yeah.
They
I've
they, they
definitely
treat them as
thrown.
their babies.
Yeah, I'm quite the opposite. I don't really enjoy anything that I've ever made, to be completely frank with you. I'm not joking. That's just something. Maybe it's just part of being an artist. I don't know. I haven't tried to dissect it or psychoanalyze it, but for real, like I'm not attached to pretty much any of the songs. They're just the one thing that's really cool about them is they mark a point in my life. I think that's very
Oh my
interesting.
gosh, yeah, isn't that interesting? Like,
Yeah.
I was just talking to somebody again yesterday where we were saying like how music for so many people, including artists, is
Mm.
like myself. It brings me back to like when I hear All Time Low, the band All Time Low. Um,
Yeah.
it brings me back to when I was a freshman in high school walking the hallways because that's what I was listening to on my iPod at the time.
Yeah.
It brings me distinctly back. Or visiting my grandparents in Florida, I would hear like I
Yeah.
think it's called like lullabies or something like that. Like there's a track by them that's or something like something about a lion. Something I don't know. I don't remember the track.
Yeah.
But regardless, it's like a chill, like clean electric guitar going. It's like that
Yeah.
distinctly. I'm in the car with my grandparents with my headphones in, kind of like it brings you back.
So
Now,
beautiful about music. Yeah.
exactly. But now, how much even more of
Mm.
yourself when you write the song and it transmits you to that place
Yeah.
where you actually were when you wrote that song, whether it was snowing outside and you were locked in your room, or it
Yeah.
was beautiful on the beach, or you were fighting with your friend. Like it just brings you. It marks your life. It's almost like a vlog of your life.
Yeah, that might be one of the reasons why I can't listen to a lot of my older stuff because
You don't want to relive it.
well, yeah, yeah. Some of those things, it gets real quick for sure. I've definitely, there's been a couple times when I've been back and listened to some of my older tracks. I'm like, I don't want to feel like I'm 21 again. That was a crazy year, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then, with that, there's the beauty in that. It's like exactly, it's like a vlog. It's very, there's also with all the bad stuff, there's some great memories too. When I've written something and go back to it and I try to milk that experience and relive it and yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I love music, man.
A
That's one of the
hundred percent.
biggest reasons why.
100%, man. So I want to get a little practical now in what
Mm.
you've learned from TikTok. I think that this could be really helpful for people that either haven't gotten started or haven't seen any, the ball start rolling. So if can I hear 3 specific tips that you could give that just pop into your mind of what have you learned from TikTok and how to promote yourself, how to put yourself out there, whatever they may be, however practical you want to get.
Yeah, the number absolutely. There's quite a few things, obviously, and I think this differs from person to person. But from the very get go, when I first started posting, I had in mind that I wanted to create a brand, meaning that I wanted to have consistency with how my videos look. Rarely do I ever look into the camera because I feel like that's kind of confrontational. That's just an example. So I have consistency with the things that I have control over, and then my audience recognizes that. So when they see a video pop up, they kind of know what it is, or if they're new, they figure it out by looking through my feed or going through and whatnot. So I think one tip is to find what works, and then with that formula you can adjust it, and it's like, okay, let's try something new. And if that does well, like, okay, well, that worked with my audience, so maybe let's explore doing that again for the next video. And my performance has been a steady, consistent growth, and I think that comes from setting a model and then adjusting to what works for your audience. And I think that differs, like I said, from person to person. But that would be the first thing, is establish some sort of consistency, whether that be with how it looks visually or the type of content, because that way it gives you control. If you're just throwing ideas at the wall, and maybe one of them will pop off and you can try to replicate it. But I see that often, where you'll see like a channel with one huge video, and then everything else is like, they try to ride it out and it doesn't really work out. So having that in place, as you're going, I think was really helpful for me. And I think it might, it would work for other artists as well. Tip number 2. Let me think. Oh, okay. Yeah. So I don't know. I think TikTok acts differently for everyone on the platform, but for me, I see a lot of people that do really, so this is just something that worked for me. A lot of people will just post a bunch of stuff constantly, and with TikTok, I think you can get away with that and do that. As a musician, I've seen other people be successful with just posting a lot of things, but I've taken the approach, and a lot of people don't like this, but I've taken the approach of rather than a lot of videos that don't have a lot of thought into them, I take a smaller amount of videos and make sure that they're the best that they can possibly be, which takes a lot more time, takes a lot more energy, and in a lot of cases, the reward hasn't been higher. But for me, that's just something that I'm very stubborn about. And so like, I kind of refuse to put something up if it's just like a quick little clip that doesn't have any effort in. So I like to think in depth about every single thing that I do and how it affects, image, brand, all that stuff. But, so I would say that's something else. Okay. Tip number 3. Your audience, my audience on TikTok, I love them all so much. There's some of the coolest people that I would be friends with, like outside, like IRL. And I think that, building those relationships and replying, and I've met some of the coolest people and had not even for the opportunities, just in general, like people that have absolutely made my day, that I've met through people just reaching out from TikTok or reaching out on TikTok. And I think that's what's so unique, is like the traditional music industry before social media, that wasn't really a thing. Like you could meet someone after a show and then, like
that's it.
Yeah, so we don't have that barrier there anymore. Yeah. So I think artists should take full advantage of the fact that you can literally talk to your listeners, and they can, if they compliment you or something, like take a little bit of time to let them know that you appreciate it. And yeah, sure. Those are the people that are back, even, no matter what, like they got my back, and that's super, super cool. And I think that even from the very beginning, the very first video I posted, I had like 3 or 4 people come on, and a couple of those people still comment like on every single thing that I post from day one. And I just think that is so,
you don't forget them, cool. For sure.
Yeah, like that is just the coolest thing ever. And I think artists should take advantage of the fact that we can have that communication in this day and age.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that's those are 3 phenomenal tips. So I hope if we're taking notes for sure. Now I'm curious, have you finished your track for today?
No, I am dead center in so I haven't done vocals for it yet. I'm at that part right now where I've got a little piece of scrap paper with a bunch of words written down on it, to where I'm like, should I make this rhyme or should I try to take creative liberties and make it kind of rhyme?
Ah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, the track is there's an instrumental. I have a I recently just brought my actual bass guitar from back home. Fun fact, like most of my tracks have MIDI basses in them, and try to like mix them to sound a little more realistic. But it was so annoying. So I have a bass guitar here now, and so I'm with that I'm like kind of switching up genres a little bit and trying some new stuff out. So this next one, I don't know, like who knows how it'll do, but I'm definitely having fun with it.
No, that's the best part, man. And that's the most
Yeah,
important part.
for sure. Yeah,
No, it's
yeah,
phenomenal. Well, I want to be respectful of your time, so I really appreciate you chatting, man. It was an absolute blast. If you
absolutely.
could,
Yeah.
the last question I love asking people is, currently in your career, what is one thing that you know now when you first started that you wish you knew when you first started out?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. There's a lot. There's a lot. I mean, the bottom line is when you're in this and you're doing something, like a content creator, a musician, whatever you're doing, uh, the hard truth is you're gonna have to learn things, whether it's the easy way or the hard way. A lot of times it's been the hard way. I've been very blessed and lucky to have opportunities to learn some things the easy way. But I don't know if there's one specific thing. There's so much knowledge that
Mm,
only could have come through this journey.
mm,
And I'm still constantly. I'm nowhere, nothing, no one at this point, and I'm still learning. And I'm gonna learn something when I hop on a call later on today or whenever, and I'm just prepared and ready for that. So I would say, if you're gonna go into it and you want to know stuff, there is no answer. There is
yeah.
no there is no one thing. It's just get in there and be open to learning and be receptive to other people's criticisms,
Mm,
comments, and be ready to grow as a human and as an artist. And that's going to look different for everyone.
yeah. It almost sounds like you're saying the most important thing to some degree is just getting started and be open to learning.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Get up, get out of bed, like do the thing, sit down by your computer and get annoyed, and try ideas out. And if they don't work, that's fine.
Yeah.
Do it again.
100%, man. Well, I really appreciate you. If you could hold on for 2 more seconds, I just want to say
Of
thank you to
course.
so much to every single person that watched this and made it to the end of this conversation. You guys are the true ones. Appreciate you guys. Definitely go check out Ethan's stuff. It's phenomenal if you haven't heard it. Phenomenal. I'm super curious. I'm looking forward to seeing what he posts today. So hopefully there's a new track for today from him. But definitely go check out
Awesome.
his TikTok and his Instagram and everything, and also his music on Spotify. All the links will be in the description. So I
Could I plug
appreciate you
my
so
song real
much.
quick?
100%, please.
Yeah, guys, Psycho, I just released a couple days ago. Psycho by Ethan Gander is on Spotify. It's on all platforms. Stream it. That's it.
100%. Go stream Psycho and then all the other tracks that are released as well.
Yeah,
So have a great rest of the day. Best way to support both of our careers is to go check out our music. So God bless and
absolutely.
peace out.
Thank you, man. God bless you as well. Have a good one.